Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 90 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by me's bro from the same Momo, Lester Jones.
Oh, yes. Hello, everybody. We're not really related.
Man, episode 90, that means we're creeping up on 100 like an Apache. A couple months. And of course, it wouldn't be our show if we didn't have the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, the Prince of Principles, the Earl of Ethics. He never steals, he never curses, he only fingers prison purses, the phenomenal A.J. Singh.
Hello, everyone. That's probably the most sanitized intro.
That's the nicest one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Gotta adjust my mic level here. Okay, there we go. All right, what you guys been doing this week? You got any good stories for us at all?
I saw a high-speed car chase on the highway.
Okay. Well, that sounds exciting.
I was coming back from driving DoorDash, and at the end of the day, I'm coming home, and there was a car just blasting it, like going like over 100 miles per hour on the highway. And I hear all these cop cars behind it, too, so I know it's a high-speed chase, but this guy's out of control. He pulls up like in front of me, and there's this car in front of me, like a truck, and he almost swerves and hits that truck, and he's going like 100, so that truck like pulls over to the side of the road. I pulled over to the side of the road because I was like, this guy's just erratic, and next thing I know, like I think eight cop cars passed me up, like going chasing this guy down the street, and it was in Westland, Oregon, so he was probably leaving like downtown Oregon and like heading south to get out of there. But yeah, it was nuts.
There's always got to be that one asshole, doesn't there, that's just driving like a maniac.
Yeah, there's always somebody.
Well, I mean, this guy at least had a reason to be driving like that. Some people, like, Portland hasn't been bad as Houston. Houston, the traffic over there, like the people, I think it's just because there's more people. You're more likely to see somebody who's just an erratic driver. But
it feels like drivers here are more polite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston didn't give a shit. Like, if you wanted to merge somewhere, you basically just had to like start pushing in until someone got too scared to like keep cutting you off.
And like, it's weird because over here drugs are legal, but it feels like in Houston more people are on drugs when they're driving.
Maybe. I saw somebody this morning that I'm pretty sure was already baked up.
Yeah, I definitely seen some drugged up people driving. You can tell, but in Houston, I remember like whenever I'd go like downtown or like towards like 3rd Ward or 5th Ward, it was like I was walking through like driving to like kamikaze neighborhoods, like where drivers were just aiming for you. They were just all high and flying all over the place. It was nuts. There were no rules to the traffic.
Yeah, I didn't go walking down.
In Houston, you need like a car that has like paint scrapes and shit on it, so people know, like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, this guy's been through wars.
If you don't let me in, we'll be
like
trading
a wheelchair
some paint
stuck in your grill.
Wasn't it like there was a guy who had like a fake body sticking out of his grill, like as a Halloween thing?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he got pulled over for that, but I can see how somebody might want to do that. Let pedestrians, especially in Portland, know to get out of the way.
What's stupid down there is like it'll buckle up and rain, and like people are still just doing like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And there's always a crash.
Yeah, and you can't see in front of you. That's how hard it's raining sometimes.
Yeah, it did rain a lot down there.
Yeah.
It rained hard when it rained.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this whole like car conversation makes me think of. You remember in the '90s when SNL like used to do their own commercials? They had that one for a car called the Chameleon, which was like really nice and luxury on the inside, but then on the outside looked like complete shit, so that people wouldn't steal it.
Oh, that's smart.
It had like one door that was a different color and shit like that.
Man, talking about high speed chases, I just remember this. Like, I had a friend in the Army, and like he like worked on a muscle car and really souped it up. And he was like in like the Midwest where you have just like million-mile straight stretches, right? So he decides to get out there and just fucking see what it can do. And he said he's just flying along, and he sees a car coming up, and he just passes it, and he's like, "Oh shit, it was a cop car." And like he just keeps going. He passes another one, and he passes another one, and he passes another one, and finally he passes the guy they're chasing, and he just like keeps going.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, ridiculous.
Hey, how fast was he going?
I don't know. I've been going like a motherfucker.
Mhm.
But yeah, he said he finally, when he got back to town, like he just parked in the garage and just like left it there.
Yeah.
I can't understand like wanting to speed past like those, straight stretch of desert lands where it's just
Yeah.
like nothing to look at, and you're just like, I want to get out of here as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
Especially if like the next 200 miles is like the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that like 12-hour drive out of Texas.
Yeah. Oh my
That's a
gosh.
tough one.
Yeah. It's harder going west because you're like,
You know there's nothing.
yeah, Texas sucks. There's nothing there, man.
Yeah, you have to get out of Texas before you get anything.
Like, I'd rather drive through Kansas, and yeah, Kansas sucks, but Kansas has rolling hills at least. Something to look at. That reminded me when you said earlier about that chameleon car. Like, people these days are really mad at, like, luxury like, especially Teslas. Like, there are a lot of videos of Teslas getting scratched up or beat up or attacked. There was a guy who recently was attacked on the road by two guys driving a truck because he was driving a Tesla. Like, it's almost like there's like is it a classist thing, or is it like just it's a Tesla, they must be like a certain type of person?
I don't know, because like I have seen a lot of like posts on Facebook by my like redneck like relatives that are like very anti electric cars, and I think it's almost like a stubbornness to like, because they, I don't know, they like they don't trust them, they trust gas, and like there's all these memes about like electric cars not working and all this bullshit, and I'm just like, I don't understand this level of animosity. Like, like who cares if someone wants to get an electric car?
There's a lot of like, I don't know. There's hatred between the two parties that I don't always understand. But I mean, if you're out in the country, I can understand like thinking, buying a $50,000 car is kind of, snooty.
But I mean, is a Tesla like a political move? Like, I think anybody would buy a Tesla, right? Like, is it more
I mean, if you're
leftist?
making good money and you live in the city, I could see pretty much anybody owning one.
Maybe some people view it as like an attack on oil jobs or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like maybe oil and gas has people all hyped up about like their jobs being stolen or lost or something.
Yeah, I really don't know.
I mean, I'm sure they're still doing fine right now.
Oh, they're probably killing it right now.
Yeah, as high as oil was a barrel, they're probably drilling like a motherfucker in Texas and places.
Yeah.
The thing of it is, I bet a lot of those people, number one, they never drove an electric car, but if they did, they'd probably be like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, it's quiet as fuck. It accelerates like a motherfucker. Like, I bet they'd like them,
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you don't have to stop every hour or two to get gas. How often do you have to get electricity for an electric car? Like once a day sort of thing? Or
Probably plug it in every night.
Yeah, I think most people, I mean, I don't know what people who live in places like this, like apartments, do, but yeah, I imagine most people, they just get a plug-in set up at their home and plug it in overnight, like an iPhone or whatever.
we just had family visit from Vancouver, Canada, and they had a Tesla. They drove, I think, like 5 hours straight. So I think you can pretty much get like a day's worth of driving with one of those things. So
Yeah, that's a little further than I would have thought. I would have felt sketchy going that far.
Yeah, I've never been in an electric cars or anything, so I don't know really how. Well, I guess I have been briefly, but yeah, I don't know how far they can go on a charge.
For some reason, I was thinking it was like 400 miles, but I don't know why I'm thinking that.
I've heard those numbers thrown out there before, like 300, 400 miles, but I don't know which cars do what. I know Teslas, they were saying are like the most advanced, right? Like they...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still top of the...
Okay.
Everyone else is trying to play catch up still.
Yeah, there's some electric vehicles that get like 60 miles to the gallon, or like, what I mean, 60 miles comparatively.
And talking about Elon, like he bought like that 9-10% stock in Twitter, and everyone was getting all uppity, and now like it sounds like they weren't going to let him on the board without like limiting him in some way, and so he just like put out an offer to buy the entire thing for like, I forget what it was, like $45 billion or something.
Yeah, he just put an offer to buy it.
I don't think they'll accept.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well, I think I saw a tweet already today that said they don't accept, but also somebody also tweeted that if you look into his financials, they doubt that he has the money to actually do it. But my question is, even if he could, what's his agenda? Like, is he trying to make Twitter work to better his image
Well, basically,
and push his agendas?
The only agenda he's announced is that he was trying to instate free speech because it's been an issue on the platform.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more than that.
Yeah, there's always.
I mean, he has such a huge audience on there anyway. I don't know what more he would gain out of
I
it.
don't feel like he's this altruistic guy that's just like, oh, I want to buy Twitter to make freer speech. I definitely feel like it's an agenda, control the narrative type.
But I've
type
seen
of
like a
move.
lot of people, like on the left, that seem offended that he's saying he's going to instate free speech. And I'm like, this seems weird. The only reason to be offended is because like people you don't like won't be silenced anymore. That's the only thing I understand.
I think it's more them being skeptical of him, like I am. More just thinking, I don't really buy the free speech angle, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, whenever somebody buys like a huge like social media piece, like before you used to be like newspapers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and they would get bought up by like the Rupert Murdochs and stuff like that. So now it's just happening with these social media platforms too, and that's dangerous. That's scary because we've seen what it's led to in the past.
Yeah, it's so weird because I hear like, famous people complaining all the time about being censored on social media platforms. And so it's like, I mean, we've talked about this to death, but it's like, you'd think there'd be a marketplace for like a totally free speech app. But then as we've talked about before, that's going to lead to shitheads being on there. And as soon as that happens,
I mean, you don't have to listen to anyone you don't want to, though, really.
Well, I know that, but we all know as soon as that happens, all the major marketplaces that people actually use, Google, Apple, Amazon, they're going to kowtow and not allow them to sell that app on their marketplace.
They have done that, but you think they're going to do that with Twitter and Elon?
Probably not Twitter because
Probably not.
But even if he bought it, I don't see him like, I don't know, fully opening it up and making it totally free speech.
I don't know. I mean, like I talked to you guys about it before, where I thought there was probably a hole in the market because of most of major platforms were taking some form of censorship, and then like you said, Apple and Google shut down other sites that were basically going for a free speech angle. It's a little shaky, I always thought, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Free speech is dangerous. Like, then
See, I don't understand this. I mean, censoring people is dangerous.
you get the pedophiles come out. You get people who want to commit all kinds of crimes, talking to each other, forming groups.
I mean, if pedophiles want to out themselves, I'm not going to say I totally disagree with that.
if you create like a free speech, like, then they're protected, aren't they? Like,
The speech is protected, actions aren't protected.
yeah, but doesn't that leading to more pedophilia? Like more people like talking about it, making it an open conversation, like acceptable, and doesn't that lead to it becoming more of a problem?
I don't know, but the people being censored are on the other side of that fence, I think.
I mean, I don't think like somebody who's not a pedophile is gonna. It's like the legalizing drugs thing. I don't think someone who's not a pedophile is gonna be like all of a sudden be like, oh, I hear these guys talking, and now I'm thinking maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a deeper psychological problem for those people.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone going on there and not being attacked.
But at the same time,
Oh no, Reddit has a lot of like subculture where they talk about pedophilia and stuff like that on there.
But at the same time, I'm like him, where I'm like, the speech is protected, the actions are not. And I feel like these groups communicating online like this just make it easier for the police to catch the actions.
That's what I've wondered. I've kind of wondered, like, if social media, like, how many of them are actually, like, doing stuff like that, like, trying to actively catch people. Because a lot of them do post something before they do something. They'll be like, goodbye, or they'll post pictures of a bunch of guns and ammo, which isn't going to rule out, a lot of people in, like, say, our family, but if they're if they find like red flags where they could actually try to predict some of that stuff.
But I mean,
I fear too much like what people are capable of when you unshackle them and you give them full freedom. Like, I think it'll be just chaos.
But when you start censoring people, then it's like, where does it end?
that's the thing. When the option is free speech or censorship, I'm always going to lead towards free speech.
I'm the opposite. I think people are, if you give them a chance, they'll do unlimited danger, like unlimited chaos. Like, you have to put a tap to it or else it'll just go run amok.
But isn't that kind of the same debate between democracy and fascism?
Well, yeah, I mean, Stalin had his methods of...
Because you can say,
stopping
oh,
people from
democracy,
saying
given, rule by the people, that could lead to chaos. And it's like, yeah, it could, but it's better than the alternative. And people would say, well, it depends. If you get a good leader, you might be better off. But it's like, yeah, but you might get Putin.
Yeah, but with democracy, you're leaving it up to everybody to decide what happens in society. And
Well, if
then
you cut off the voices of 10% of those people, you've just altered that significantly, possibly.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing. Like, who are these 10%?
Well, I mean, when it's your party doing the censoring, yeah, it sounds great. But what if
Yeah.
it's Trump's party?
That's what I'm worried about. See, like pedophilia, all this stuff.
You're enhancing the problem. Like
No,
you're creating
because-
the system
but
that,
the problem-
that someone you don't like is going to abuse.
Wait, no, but that's if someone you don't like takes power. Like, that's like you're having.
Who was our president like a couple years ago?
Oh, that's true. But still,
And probably once in future president.
you hope with capitalism and with all this stuff, like the cream rises to the top. You hope it does, but
But it doesn't.
yeah, well, yeah, it's true. That's what we see with democracy. It has kind of failed, actually. Democracy has kind of failed. It's like,
Yeah, but what's that saying? Democracy is messy, but it's better than the alternative. And I feel the same way about free speech. Yeah, it's messy, but it's better than the alternative.
I don't know about that. I mean, do you see pictures of people getting lynched and stuff in the 50s? And the alternative is like they would be alive, those black people. And like, if you didn't have this free speech where people could go out there and talk about lynching and go out there and like work together to like commit these crimes and atrocities, like if you could limit that, then it wouldn't happen. So
Wait,
much, right?
aren't you on like? Wait, I'm confused.
But, I mean,
Like, didn't you switch sides of the argument just now?
the lynching is illegal.
I mean,
No, I mean, it just became illegal.
Thankfully, we gave free speech to like Martin Luther King. Like thankfully he could say what
I
he wanted,
mean-
and he wasn't like.
But that's not true. Like, he didn't have free speech. He got killed.
Well, he was killed, and he was. Yeah,
And he was
persecuted.
written in the papers like he was a bad guy. They did censor him a lot.
But at least he did have a voice.
But wasn't censoring him a bad thing?
But I mean,
They
right
should
now
have
you're
censored him
saying-
even harder.
Right now, you're saying don't censor because the people in power have the power and they don't need to be censored because
If we would have censored hard enough, we wouldn't even remember those things.
I don't know. I feel like if you censor, then you stop those things from happening. Like you're trying to stop like people from, hey, let's go lynch this guy. Let's go work together to do this. Like
Basically, whoever's in power is going to try to silence the other party, for better or worse.
I mean, I don't know. There's too many examples of it going bad too. So I just think there need to be rules in place, and people need to be stopped from doing whatever they will do freely.
I'll also say this, like, I am by nature a pessimistic person,
Yeah, me too.
but I do think at the end of the day, even though it doesn't always seem like it because of like the news and stuff, I think there are more good people than bad, which is why
Sure, but if like one out of 100 is shitty, that's like 4 million people in the United States. It's still a gigantic number of people.
But what I'm saying is free speech, yeah, you're going to have that percentage of shitty people, but I think at the end of the day, because there are more good than bad, pro free speech.
Where are these numbers coming? Where are these more good than bad numbers? Like, we say that all the time, but I think there are like a number of atrocities that we don't even like discuss. Like when we have like news reports and stuff about what's going on in America, a lot of people don't report what's going on to them. Like a lot of these atrocities are like swept under the rug. So how do we know people are good? I see people committing hate crimes and crimes against animals and rape and incest and all kinds, stealing, you name it.
Yeah.
Sure, but aren't there just as many good stories about the teachers saving their students and, and people rescuing
they just
dogs?
Don't get aired as much.
Are there that many good stories of good?
I think there are. I mean,
News makes a lot more money on bad stories.
right. If it bleeds,
Social
it
media
leads,
as well.
right?
As well, yeah.
I don't know.
But no, I there's something like they estimate like 1% of people are psychopaths or something.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
listen, the other thing, and it's complicated, but like I said, like I have relatives that hold political views that I can't disagree with stronger. But at the end of the day, like most of those people, because I know them, I still think they're good-hearted people. Like I still think at the end of the day, like even though like I disagree feverishly on them on a ton of issues, I'm like, they still like.
That's what everybody said about slavers. Like those same people had children who loved them. Those people had families and everything, but they still committed atrocities. Like people on a large scale are okay with doing the shittiest things to each other. Like I feel like somebody has to be checking us all the time, or else we'll just keep doing it. Like, yeah.
Well, the harder they check you, that's the worse the situations are.
But then that's like a who's watching the Watchmen type of thing, where it's like, okay, who gets to check? Who are we giving the power to check? And what rules are they using to put those checks on us?
If you consolidate power, then that's where you get the most tyranny.
So then what's a good system where nobody has, like...
Well, if
leadership
nobody has, like, a massive amount of control over the people, then... yeah, they're just more, they're more free basically.
Yeah.
I think the depressing
You can't oppress them as easily.
I think the depressing answer is there's no perfect system, but like I was saying, like I'll always like lean towards free speech over censorship and always over democracy over fascism.
I'm the opposite.
I mean, if you look at
Well, you're not pro-fascism.
Well, I'm
though.
not pro-fascism, but I want some alien overlord to come here and help us live the society, like the life that we should live, like how we can all live peacefully and organized, and like somebody who actually knows like how to put in place a system where we don't go off the rails and kill each other and stuff.
But I mean, if you look at like Russia and China, where there's been extreme amounts of censorship, like the arts and just like the people are just like so downtrodden. There has been some great literature out of Russia, but yeah, I mean, where you could be killed for writing something is insane.
I mean, to be honest, that system kind of applies here too, just to people who are not white. Like, if you're black and you write something that's controversial, you're going to get the death threats. You might eventually get assassinated.
I mean, there's huge issues. I mean, if you look at someone like Julian Assange, who didn't even like write something, he just published something, is ridiculous. So I mean, there's some gigantic censorship issues going on.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't trust people at all, man. I think they're capable, not just capable, but if given a choice, like, if a person...
So why give them power over you? Like, I don't trust you fuckers.
Because
here's some power to
instead
kill
of
me.
giving like 7 billion the power to do all of that at the same time, give one person who has like more sense.
More sense?
Hopefully,
let's
one
go back to
person-
Trump. Let's go to Stalin. Let's go to Lenin.
That's
Let's go
because
to
the
General
idiots
Mao.
voted for him. Like that says a lot about democracy. I don't.
Well,
I don't
those
know
weren't all
why.
from democracy, but even democracy has brought in its fair share of idiots.
Yeah, so I don't know what system is better, but I don't trust people at all. I think people. We're still animals, We're still like barbaric animals. We're savages. Like we'll
we need that savagery to keep them at bay.
to keep who at bay?
The bad guys.
We are the bad guys.
I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah, we are. We're
I'm
eating
not.
animals. We do all kinds. We're
Well, I don't
destroying
consider
the world.
I don't consider eating animals bad. Like
We're destroying
I have
the
very
world.
few
We're
kids
destroying
eating
our
animals.
environment. Like everything we do is bad.
To be fair, though, and again, I'm a pessimistic person by nature. And yes, you're right. There's all sorts of savagery in the world. But if you look at history, we're much more civilized than we used to be.
Do you know how much war there was in the last century?
Yeah, we've been killing people at the same. Like it's not called wars, but We're still killing people at a pretty. We have more slavery now than we ever did.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Not in America.
Yeah, maybe not in America, but in the world, yeah.
It kind of surprised me that America gets such a shitty rap over the slavery thing when we were kind of the pioneers of getting away from slavery, really.
No, Europe was. Like, they helped us wean off of it.
You think so?
Yeah, they made sure, like, they didn't even support the South when the South was trying to fight for slavery. They
No,
supported
the
North.
Dutch and English colonies were still going, right?
I know they were trading with the South up until, like, Lincoln made it pretty clear that you're supporting, like, slave states right now. You're supporting, like, slavery. And so they had
but
to.
I mean, even before that, going back as far as Jefferson, is like, he had slaves, but he wrote against slavery,
Yeah.
where it was just such a gigantic problem, and it was so accepted basically everywhere in the world. Those are kind of like some of the first recorded documents of people.
But America gets a
starting
rap
to move
because,
away
like,
from it.
the Germans learned it from us, the South Africans learned it from, like,
It was everywhere, man.
yeah, but I mean, it was our methodology that was like,
There were slavers in Africa who sold to us.
what do you mean? Like, what slavery? What are you talking about?
There were already slavers there. We go and get slaves from them.
No, but we sold and did all kinds of things to those same people. Like, we still
Yeah.
were slavers. But, like, those people in Africa, like, even they were, like, what do you call it? Colonized eventually by the people they were trading with. So even they became slaves eventually.
Well, I could see that, but there were slaves even among their own people before that.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they were invading each other and they knew that they had value, so they would just be like, all right,
Right.
we'll invade the next tribe and we'll.
But it was like
enslave them.
worldwide, just going back.
Mm-hmm.
There were slaves.
Yeah, but America has a rap for it because it transported millions of people here and made a whole entire country off of it. You know, like, they built the entire infrastructure of the country.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have that history,
That's why it has.
but we're not like worse than the rest of the world. I don't think.
I don't know, it's documented very well in America. Like, you don't really see movies about England slaves and stuff.
I mean, England has so many terrible things. I mean, in India, in Africa, and
Yeah, but they don't. They
God
don't,
knows how
they
many
don't share
places.
their history, or their history was before movies and stuff too.
what's interesting, they really don't kind of. I mean, in like those other places, like, they'll have a bad rap for it, but like in America, we're just like, yeah, that's England. That's our big brother.
Yeah, because they're kind of like together. You know, they both did the same things.
Well, so many of us came from there, and we have heritage and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, no, they're pretty bad,
They're kind of like two members of the same gang.
right?
Yeah.
Let me try to give another slant on us being more civilized than we used to be. Just think of this from like a civil rights kind of angle. So, you know, back go to 1950 to 1960s. Obviously, there's huge amounts of racism, there's segregation and everything. Civil Rights Act happens. Think of how much, like, and is there a lot of racism today still? Sure, we talk about it all the time. But as a society, we're so much less racist now than we
Yeah.
were then.
Definitely.
And then think about the gay
I
rights
think
issue.
openly we're less racist.
And then think about the gay rights issue. Yes, there's still a ton of homophobic pieces of shit. But look how quickly, like, relatively quickly, you know, gays going from, like, totally ostracized from society to gay marriage being legal. Like, that fight would happen a lot quicker than, you know, black people getting rights. And now look at the trans fight. And yes, there's some, you know, rubber banding and backsliding going on that now. But I feel like their fight for rights is coming along even faster than the fight for gay rights. Like, I do think, like, as a society, we've grown a ton just in the last, you know, 70 years or so.
I think parts of society have, like, become more progressive, but that part that's conservative, of course, wants to keep everything the way it was like 50 years ago.
Right.
100 years ago. So, I mean, I think like half of our society is still in that sense that it should go back to the way it was, you know, make America great again.
The thing is like, the changes occurred in like the younger people, and then it's just like, it's all that's left is for, you know, baby boomers to die off, and it pretty much caps the seal on it.
I don't know. I feel like baby boomers have left their impression on the young. Like 50% of the youth, like, they asked people who were like 10 to 14 who weren't even voters yet. Like, they were pretty much down the middle when it came to their political opinions.
Okay, but I mean, how many kids do you see acting racist? I mean, you do see it because
Oh,
kids. like the younger you are, like the worse people are about it sometimes. But
And you're more impressionable, like if your parents are racist or homophobic.
But if you
or
meet
whatever.
like a 90-year-old like Italian, like you might be incredibly racist. Like more than like kids are impressionable and stupid, and then do stupid things. But
Yeah, I get the sense that people our age and younger are much more
yeah,
accepting of.
like
You
if
know.
if I look at our family, like the level of my parents and like aunts and uncles and stuff, well, like we're definitely better on those fronts. But coming back to being civilized, like governments killed over like 200 million of their own people in the last century. So, I mean, I can't sign up for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Aliens.
pe-
We need an alien overlord.
People are always going to be people, and it doesn't really matter.
People are
over
garbage,
time.
man. We're like shitty animals. We're gonna kill each other. We're gonna rape each other. We're gonna do this stuff no matter what. And
Yeah,
we're
it's
gonna
all
treat
gonna
the ones
repeat.
that we love nicely. That's what we do. The ones that we know. Oh, I've known you for a long time. I won't rape you. I like you. Okay, that's just humans, man. We're stupid like that. Like, I don't think we're gonna go out there and be like, hey, let's let's make this guy's life easier. I'll try to make my life a little bit harder to make his life easier. Maybe I'll make a choice where I have to do something to go out of my way to make somebody else's life easier. People aren't going to do that.
And people do that.
People do that.
Yeah,
what
there
people
people
like?
do
What
that.
10% of people do that?
Yeah, and like 1% of people commit heinous crimes. Okay.
What? 1% of people commit heinous crimes?
Actually, it's less than that. But 1% of people are psychopaths, but not all psychopaths
okay,
commit
well,
crimes.
yeah, that's different. But heinous crime, like violent crimes in America, are like what? 1 in 5 people will experience a violent crime.
I mean, I'm surprised I haven't experienced one yet, but I don't know. I mean, the shitty people can really spread it around, I guess.
I don't know, man.
Like a small proportion of people
There are
create a
plen-
disproportionate amount of like violent crimes.
There are plenty of people who seem like good, decent people who just give them a chance, they'll prove you wrong. Like maybe you put them in a different scenario outside of their family and friends who know them as a good person, but people are often given a chance to do bad and they act on it.
And I'll also say this again, I'm a pessimistic person, but even in places of the world right now that, have cultures that we kind of find abhorrent, like, places in the Middle East that put gay people to death. And like most of it's like, of course, religion based. I think we won't see it in our lifetimes, but I think 100, 150 years, like people in Saudi Arabia will be having like the debates that, Republicans have now are like, we want, or, people will be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill gays. Like, I think you'll see a softening over the years.
They're probably
Well,
already
actually, it'll
having
take
the whole
forever, but-
conversation.
I mean, there were like the pictures of Israel where they're pretty well westernized at one point, like the 70s, and they totally backslid.
Yeah, Afghanistan, I saw the pictures of there in the 70s.
But like, I think you will see a softening over time and a more progressive over
I
time.
think you'll see ups and downs.
Yeah, same thing happened. Look at Romans and Greeks; they were all pedophiles. They were very open and accepting of that. People change all over, like centuries later. Now,
Yeah,
they're-
some of those things are like, do we just believe this? Is it like really cultural, or is it just like a space and time?
yeah, space and
moral?
time.
Yeah.
Everything's momentary.
I mean, I don't know. There's always going to be that rubber banding you talk about, always. But what is it that Martin Luther quote about like the arc of humanity is long, but it bends towards justice, or what? I'm getting that wrong, but
I'm not sure.
I have not seen it. I don't know. I got to see people do more good, but I don't know. There's no way to see it. Like, yeah, you're right. The news just shows bad. Everywhere you look, you see bad.
I think that's one area also that social media. Well, I think it's a bit of an echo chamber where the crap rises to the top a lot of the times.
Yeah, like that's true. Like everything you see in the world, like event by event, like it seems like the worst events are the ones that get the most coverage. And then even on social media, like it's the worst people who get, the loudest.
Not that I don't also see like
I mostly
good stuff
see
on,
that
on
the
Twitter.
big boobs rise to the top.
That's what's really going to save humanity.
There is some positivity. You're right. There is some good.
There's
in
a
the
silver
world.
lining.
Maybe there is good.
Well, guys, this has been a fascinating conversation, but We've been going for like 35 minutes.
Now let's focus on some negative stories.
Well, before we get into the stories, you guys, what do you guys have on your entertainment plate as a palate cleanser? You guys, what you been watching this week?
I just keep watching Ghosts, that sitcom that has like these ghost characters, and Rose McIver's in it, and there's an Indian guy in it, and they own this big bed and breakfast, and they have like ghosts that only the wife can see, and it's just a silly, quirky little show. It's based on a British TV show.
Have you watched the British one?
No, I bet it's better though.
Probably. Like, who produces like this show?
I don't know.
Is it like a streaming original, or is it like a CBS show?
I think it's NBC.
So it is like a broadcast station.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you over there, Satchmo?
I watched season 2 of Happy, which was decent.
Oh, I watched that. It was a good show. Yeah.
I watched the first season of that as it was like coming out, and then I never got around to season 2.
I vaguely feel. I don't remember a lot about season 1, but I think season 2 might have been a little stronger.
What's his name? Chris Maloney's in it.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah, Law and Order guy.
Yeah, I remembered him for like another cop show. I was like, man, he's got a type. All right.
It's funny, like some people do get typecast. Like there's this one character actor, I have no idea what his name is, but I swear I've seen him play a cop in like so many different things. I'm like, okay, this guy,
He goes in for the cop roles. And they're like, yep.
and even if he doesn't, they're like, you're a cop.
I've seen one in the memes as like a Mexican guy, but it's like every movie that needs like a generic Mexican guy, like he's the man.
I feel like I know who you're talking about too.
Anything else for you on the old watch list?
I don't remember. I was watching a couple things I finished. I finished Picard, that first season.
And you said you've been liking that?
Yeah, I did like that so far.
They do have like a season 2 that's going right now, don't they?
I think I've watched part of that.
Man, I really want to watch Better Call Saul, but I haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah, I polished that off like last week.
Pretty good?
It was a pretty good season, yeah.
There was
Yeah.
5 seasons to that.
I think that was either the 4th or the 5th.
I think Netflix just added the 5th season, and then if you have like regular cable, like I think or you could probably get
6th is
AMC
playing.
Plus or whatever, and I think it's starting like if it hasn't started already, it's starting soon, I think.
Do you
Yeah, I
have to
think
pay
that-
for AMC Plus?
Is it like an add-on where?
It's all I know is it exists.
Well,
It's too many. Of
It's
these,
too many.
man.
Yeah. I don't want to support it because I don't want them to think they should survive.
Yeah, any company like NBC, Paramount, all that, like that. I don't know. You already have networks, man.
I'm hoping that some of these are going to consolidate
Yeah.
eventually. I mean, I think like, Netflix, HBO, Disney, Amazon, they're probably all big enough, but like I feel like
they're big enough. They'll buy that content eventually.
but I feel like Peacock, Paramount Plus, they could merge.
Yeah. Aren't they basically the same thing?
well, isn't Paramount on Amazon?
Oh, is that?
Well, you can buy different add-ons.
Yeah.
And it's an add-on, so
There's some contract in between there.
but you can probably like people do that with Hulu too. Like on Hulu, you can add on those kind of channels
Right.
too. It's just wherever you want to do that, but they are like a different streaming network or whatever. So I started a new game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's pretty fun so far. It's like an open world samurai game.
That wasn't like the super hard one.
No, you're thinking of Elden Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't want any part of it. Yeah, although people are fucking loving that game, but
There was another one before that. Like, which one started the trend of like super hard games?
well, Dark Souls,
Yeah, Dark Souls.
Yeah,
And then
Souls, and then there was one in
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't played any of them.
no, I won't. And like they're probably good. I don't have the patience for like dying a million times to beat one boss.
Yeah.
It's just if I was
I
younger,
played
maybe.
Mario when I was a kid.
That's you know what I think that's what put me off these games is when we were kids we had Nintendo games and so many of them were so brutally fucking hard, and I'm just like I don't want to go back to those days. I'm not like nostalgic for really hard games.
A lot of them even to the point of being impossible, really, unless you were just psychotic.
Oh, like Battletoads.
Battletoads was
insane.
impossible. Like the Ninja Turtles was really hard.
Oh yeah, never beat that game. The first
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles
yeah.
game so fucking hard.
And we put a lot of hours on it.
It took us forever just to learn how to get through that first
sewer.
stage where you got to disarm the bombs underwater. So fucking hard.
That happened with me with Dark Souls. I think I was the second one I played, and I was on the first level, and I couldn't figure out what the next step was to get out of the first level.
Yeah, I'd probably be the same way. Plus, you can't help it. As you get older, like your reflexes are going to get slower. You're going to be worse at games.
Yeah.
And that's just something you can't help. And then I don't know if playing that got me in the mood for some martial arts stuff, but for the first time I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
which is I think equal parts like cool and baffling. like there's some really cool like fights in it, some really cool like stylistic things.
Yeah, super stylish.
But then just like some general weirdness that I'm it's like okay, I guess. Like overall, like I don't know if I completely understood the story, but there is like some cool fights and stuff in it. And they do that like where they kind of walk it on the air. Like I don't know what you call that.
oh yeah, running over the
Airbending or
treetops.
whatever.
Yeah. They like kind of float run.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I don't you know what's fucked up though is like so I bought Peacock for a month because of WrestleMania and this was on Peacock. What every show I've watched on there is commercial free, but even though I'm paying for it, the movies they'll make you watch like 5 commercials. They're not like egregious, and they're all for like
It's still
other
annoying,
Peacock
yeah.
shows, but it's still annoying. Like if I'm actually paying for it, fuck off with the commercials.
Right.
I watched another movie on there, an Alfred Hitchcock classic called Rope.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
So I liked it. Okay, the premise is cool, and I think maybe this is something that might actually be a good like fodder for a remake. But basically, the premise is right at the beginning of the movie, these 2 guys commit a murder, and like one of the guys is like a complete sociopath, and like the other guy is kind of like a guy he gets to go along with
Right,
it,
he's drug along.
kind of an impressionable guy. So they kill this guy by strangling him with a piece of rope, like hence the title. And like the sociopath guy, like he thinks he's committed the perfect crime, and like he's in it like for the thrill. So they kill this guy, they shove him in a trunk that's like in the middle of their living room, and then like to add to the thrill, these guys throw a party that the dead guy was supposed to be at. So they invite all these people, right? And one of the people they invite is Jimmy Stewart, who was like a professor these guys used to have. And like basically through the course of the movie, like he puts it together that they murdered this guy.
Okay.
And so like it's a pretty cool premise. And like it all takes place in this apartment. Overall, I think the movie was just like good. Like I wouldn't say it's like fantastic, but I like the premise enough that I'm like, I think somebody could like maybe remake this and do something cooler with it. And then finally, I finished up that AP Bio show, which I like the show, but because it was canceled, it just kind of ends. Like it's not like you never really get like his character never gets like a satisfying like arc and end. I guess
Yeah,
the
does
show
it grow at all?
I mean, I guess a little bit, but like you'd maybe want to see him have like a more interesting conclusion, and then the show just kind of ends just like on a episode that doesn't feel like a special episode. But it's a funny, charming show. I just wish it would have got enough time to like come to a better conclusion, I guess. Yeah, so that's it. So 45 minutes in. We'll get in a couple stories for the week. So anybody who hasn't watched this previously, basically we're just going to go around. Everyone's going to pitch some hopefully wacky or entertaining news stories from the week, and we'll see if we can't make something gold out of them. As tradition dictates, we usually start with AJ. So AJ, what do you got for us?
All right. Man suffers freak injury while masturbating and has to be hospitalized.
I got to say, this was one of my potentials.
Oh, I knew this would be. This was gold. A 20-year-old man was left in intensive care after a freak accident happened while he was masturbating. The Swiss patient, who remains unnamed, presumably felt out of embarrassment, suffered a rare lung injury, usually caused by rigorous exercise or violent coughing. Geez, the guy really went at it. He was hospitalized for 3 days and spent a night in the ICU as the air had escaped from his lung and became lodged in his rib cage.
What?
The patient took himself to A&E after experiencing breathlessness and chest pain, which while he was performing the act in his bed. He had arrived at the hospital. It was clear he had really done a number on himself. His face was swollen, and crunching noises were coming from his neck down to his arms. Dang. The doctor diagnosed him with spontaneous pneumodiapneustinum. I'm sure I said that wrong, which is the leakage of air from the lung to the ribs. The case is the first to be caused by masturbation. However, it has been noted before during sex. Bet that makes the lad feel even better. In his case, trapped air had been spread around his body and even made the way up to his skull. In more extreme cases, the air trapped can cause a collapsed lung. He was treated at Cantonal Hospital in Witherthur. The doctors calling his case unusual. He turned up at the hospital. He told the medics he had experienced a sharp chest pain while masturbating. The patient denied taking drugs or smoking and confirmed he wasn't participating in any strenuous exercise or suffering a cough prior to the injury. That led doctors to labeling the case spontaneous. In the report, doctors said predisposing factors are history of smoking, acute asthma, and recreational drug use, especially cocaine and heroin. Except for his history of mild and non-acute asthma, no inciting factors were noticed in our patient. There are only a few reports of SPM related to sexual activity, and we could not find any cases associated with autoeroticism, which makes our case unusual. He was discharged on the fourth day, and hopefully he doesn't have to experience pain like that again.
You know, even if this happened to me, there's no fucking way I'd be honest about it. I'd be like, I went through for a jog or something,
Yeah.
doc, and now I feel like shit. Can you help me?
I would lie like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you wouldn't even have any idea what was happening other than think it was like a heart attack. Because who ever heard of like air escaping from your lungs without like being shot or something?
How'd they end up in the ribs?
Yeah, it's definitely like I read that too, and I'm like, I've never heard of this. I don't know how this happens, but apparently it does.
Huh.
So, all you eager masturbators out there, beware.
Be less furious.
Make sure to breathe in and
Yeah.
breathe out while you're jerking.
Do your stretches first.
Stretch before you stretch.
Pre-jerk off drink.
You have to be like paranoid about jerking off for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's got to leave.
That's true. That guy's probably always like, oh my God, I got to be careful.
Like every time he goes to the restroom, his parents are like, "Slow down, okay? Calm
What are you
down.
doing? I'm taking my life in my own hands.
I'm tired of living afraid."
Have you been jerking off? No. I can hear your neck crunching. Let's see. Manifesto, round one.
Arizona man has 183 dead animals in his deep freezer. The list includes dogs, turtles, lizards, birds, snakes, mice, rats, and rabbits. And there is some evidence that some of them were put in there while they were still alive.
Jeez.
I mean, look, he's just preparing for the winter.
Well, I mean, like, if you would have, like, butchered them, I could see that. He's just pulling out, like, a hairy-ass animal. It's like, let's defrost this bad boy.
Man, he froze him alive.
Yeah.
He's an asshole.
And he was arrested on animal cruelty charges,
But maybe this was the only thing keeping him from killing
183.
people, because you know this guy.
Yeah, it is.
it's such just a weird thing to do. It's like, you're out on a walk and you're like, oh, there's a turtle. Come on, you come with me, little fella.
Make a good addition to the collection.
He just throws him in there.
He just has all these ice cubed animals.
It's just it's just so morbid. It's weird.
Even I don't know how people think of this shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing how much mental illness there is in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just 183. It's hard to even imagine fitting 183.
In one freezer?
Yeah, it was like one of those like deep freeze chest freezers.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Man, I watch Your Mom's House all the time with Tom Segura, and like frequently people will have videos of them filming like crazy people on the New York subway. And
I could make some of those at work.
they had this one just the other day where this son of a bitch is eating corn on the cob on the subway, and then he gets done eating it and he just like throws it down really hard.
My coworker said like there were people just in the back of the tram the other day just like smoking crack or meth or something.
That's another one they had, was a guy smoking crack on the train.
There's like no consequences, so they just like you're in there and they're fucking smoking crack. Public transportation. Such a civilized thing.
See what I'm saying about society? I think you guys are coming to my side.
My tax dollars wouldn't be paying for that if I had any choice in the matter. If democracy worked.
Anything more on Animal Man?
No.
Well, I found this a little bit interesting. Cheetos, Germany's forbidden fruit. Here in the U.S., Cheetos are ubiquitous. They're sold at every single grocery store and gas station. But leave the country and Cheetos become an expensive import. But in Germany, the situation is different. You can't find Cheetos at all. Or can you? Let's say you're visiting Germany and you pop into the international foods aisle. You might spot a strangely familiar orange bag on the shelves with a sticker slapped over the brand name and Chester Cheetah's face. This bizarre censorship is due to a simple reason. Cheetos are illegal in Germany. But what about the cheesy snacks could possibly prompt Germany to officially declare them verboten? Let's get to the bottom of this mystery. Yummy but cancerous. There are two reasons why Germany has banned Cheetos. The first is the fact that the classic American version contains high levels of acrylamide. Acrylamide is an organic compound that's generated during certain cooking processes. The levels of acrylamide in classic Cheetos are fine by American laws. We'll allow anything. But in the EU, they're a no-go. Why? Well, acrylamide is quite likely to cause cancer. It's not completely clear whether acrylamide is carcinogenic when eaten. However, governments in both the U.S. and Europe don't want to take the risk. As a result, both have enacted regulations on how much acrylamide can be in foods. Europe's regulations are just stricter. But there's a way around this. Many brands of snacks are produced locally in Europe through slightly different methods, allowing them to comply with EU regulations. This would be an option for Cheetos, too. The cheesy snacks are already produced in Poland and Spain, for example. Never say Cheeto. But if they're being made locally, why can't Germans still enjoy licking Cheeto dust off their fingers? And again, what's with these stickers? That reason lies in German copyright laws and a little company called Intersnack. We say little company, but this conglomerate dominates the German snack foods market. Incidentally, Intersnack produces something called Cheetos, which actually might be pronounced Cheetos, but it's spelled Chitos. And I want to be able to differentiate because they use it a few times here. According to them, the name Cheetos is much too close to their trademark, and German judges seem to agree. Any shop owner who dares sell Cheetos can expect a lawsuit from Intersnack, and the company's lawyers have a fantastic track record in getting snacks pulled off shelves. Luckily for shop owner, there's a loophole, the stickers. If you cover the Cheetos name and the famous mascot, you can claim that the product isn't Cheetos. You can find many creative alternative names glued onto the bags. Some examples include cornchos, quesos, basically German for Cheetos, and flippies. But the stickers aren't a bulletproof solution. For example, earlier this year, a shop owner got fined more than $2,700 because the stickers could be peeled off. According to Intersnack, that could lead to brand confusion with Cheetos, the competitor that wasn't. This might sound like a boring case of trademark lawsuits to you, but wait, this is where it gets weird. Cheetos don't exist, at least not in any physical capacity. This Intersnack website shows a bag of Cheeto branded Cheetos, a product that doesn't exist, or a product that does exist, but good luck trying to find them in stores. There simply isn't such a thing as a Cheeto. Intersnack's trademark registration for Cheetos even classifies them as anything ranging from extruded potato, wheat, rice, and or corn products for snack purposes to cookies, gingerbread, candies, or toffee. What we're taking from this is that even Intersnack themselves don't know what a Cheeto is, but they do know that they own the name, and Cheetos comes too close to it. Intersnack does constantly promise to organize national campaigns with Cheetos, but according to German shop owners, these basically amount to making a few bags of the product, selling them within an hour, and calling it quits for a couple more years. Black market Cheetos, so there you have it. The German Cheeto ban, but despite the illegality, Cheetos are in high demand in the country. Part of the reason is the 500,000 Americans living in Germany who want a small taste of their home. But even Germans themselves have a taste for Cheetos. It's not difficult to see why. The German snack food market is overwhelmingly dominated by two flavors, plain and paprika. Plain and utilitarian. How very German, or so you'd think. But it seems Cheetos are in high demand, perhaps because the local options are so limited. As a result, there's a veritable smuggling industry around Cheetos in Germany. Whenever shop or restaurant owners visit the U.S., they'll return with a couple suitcases full of Cheetos, and then they break out the stickers.
Man, I guess I'm going to get into selling some Cheetos to Germans.
That's what I was thinking. Like, let's find a way to make money off of this.
Yeah. It's 500,000 Americans in Germany? That's a lot of Americans.
I mean, I think there might be a U.S. military base over there. So
is that what they're counting?
Oh, I don't know. I just thought that
probably
might
wouldn't
account
count
for a lot of the Americans living over there, potentially, but I don't know.
Chuchos.
Dang.
They probably get American foods on the base, though.
Yeah, they probably have a ton of American food over there.
That's true. They might allow plain up Cheetos on the base.
Yeah.
So I just thought this was weird. That there's just like this one country where they can't fucking legally sell Cheetos.
I thought it was weird that they have a thing called Cheetos, but they don't actually have it.
Yeah, that's weird too. They basically just have it to keep the trademark going so that they can keep Cheetos out, I guess.
They're like anti-Cheeto over there.
It sounds like maybe legally they have to do that thing where they're talking about where they like every few years they like make a couple of them and sell them just so they can like it's like when
Sony makes a Marvel
the
movie.
Spider-Man movie. we gotta keep these rights going. But yeah, I read that and I was like, that seems pretty weird. Although, like now it makes you paranoid. Like, do Cheetos cause cancer?
I tend to believe it.
I've had my share of Cheetos.
I don't think Cheetos do anything good to the body.
All right.
I was sold on the Cheetos diet from like 1994 to 1997.
AJ, you got another story for us?
All right. Russian Popeye ignores doctor's death warnings to undergo surgery to look like an alien. See, this is that guy. See, the aliens are coming to take over. I like this.
Oh, you want this guy in charge?
Why not? Except he's Russian, so I don't know. The man dubbed as Russian Popeye, who is known for his huge artificial biceps, has ignored death warnings by doctors after he underwent surgery in order to look more like an alien. Ex-Russian soldier Kirill Tereshin has been likened to a cartoon character Popeye by injecting petroleum jelly into his arms to give himself gigantic muscles.
Oh, those look bad.
The 25-year-old has become...
Popeye was forearms, not biceps.
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't know how it would work. It'd be horrible.
It's clear he's been exercising a lot.
Yeah. The 25-year-old has become pretty popular online and has racked up nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. Although the Russian has been forced to undergo a number of corrective surgeries due to issues occurring from dead muscles in his arms. Despite the constant death warning from doctors, Tereshin has decided to have cosmetic treatment because he wants to look more like an alien. Were you going to say something? Oh.
No.
He showed off his new look to his followers with enlarged lips, cheekbone fillers, plus shaping his lower jaw. Shaping his lower jaw and forehead. I'm an ideally handsome male, he claimed in a video. All stands out clearly. Lips, chin, cheekbones, forehead, nose is even, lower jaw, he added. I want to make an alien face. I have believed in aliens since I saw UFOs as a teenager. I know they exist and they are the most powerful race in the world. I feel like I'm going to them. Tereshin, 25, has already had his fake triceps removed, but has so far ignored the advice to get rid of dangerous giant implants from his biceps.
Someone needs to censor this guy's Instagram account.
Yeah, that's bad. Surgeon Dmitry Melnikov warned him bluntly, the risk of complications in this case is very high. But inaction will not help the patient. A toxic substance in the body long-term can complicate the kidneys and lead to death. He confessed, I bulked up my arms when I was 20 due to my own stupidity. I did not think about the consequences. Tereshin was initially persuaded to save his life and remove the implants by Alana Mameva, 33, a campaigner for victims of botched plastic surgery, who was formerly married to Russian football star Pavel Mamev. After having the tricep surgery, he said he was very afraid about going under the knife to remove the hardened jelly from his biceps and has evidently not done so. I mean, I wish I could show you guys at home what he looks like, but...
yeah, we need to figure out picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
The only thing this reminds me of is there was a great Daily Show bit back in the day, one of those Louis Black, Back in Black segments, where like they had a guy with arms that looked a lot like that, and he's like, what'd you think he was doing, storing nuts for the winter?
Well, he was allegedly taking steroids.
Oh, yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, it's amazing what people will do to their bodies without thinking twice.
I'm surprised he didn't inject that into his dick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If you're going to take the risk of being poisoned, at least put it in your dick, right?
Well, it's not firm enough, I think.
Get that thickness going.
Yeah, you need something that'll firm up.
Some chode action. As long as the base is good, I think you might be okay. The rest you can just kind of like squeeze in there.
It's like a water balloon. This guy's whole situation sucks.
I don't know. There's too many bad results.
Yeah, I mean, people who got it in the 80s, I thought especially were brave. Like, I had never seen good surgery before then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, only recently have they gotten surgery to put where it looks like, okay, now you're doing something.
I think some of the people get it done young where their scars heal up decent and, it's not too crazy that if the doctor's really good. I think it can look good, but there's still a lot of bad stuff out there.
Yeah. I mean, Tara Reid, she's on TikTok now, and she was sharing recently like one of her movies from like 20 years ago, and she looked so good in that movie.
Yeah.
I think it was Van Wilder, and now like she had surgery like 10 years ago maybe.
Oh, she had like drug issues too, right? Though
but was that what messed up her appearance? I thought it was
I don't know.
I know she got like a hideous boob job.
Yeah, that was really bad. Her skin, like in her stomach area, it's like. It just looks old and withered.
Yeah, some people, man, they go overboard on that stuff, and it just does not look good.
Man, I saw like a TikTok of Madonna recently, and she looks bad. Like she was showing her age, but this is worse.
I've seen.
Has she had like a bunch of work done?
It just looked like her whole face was Botoxed.
Yeah, her face. Like I've seen pictures where her face and her arms are next to each other, and her face looks young, and then her arms are like all old and like wrinkly and.
Yeah. Stuff shows up in the arms, and then usually the neck you can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was watching a show once that was like about celebrities getting plastic surgery a long time ago. But it had that, I believe her name's Jennifer Grey. She's like the girl that played on Dirty Dancing back in the day.
Yeah, she got the nose job.
Well, the thing is, she I don't know what else she had done, but she looked like very different, but still like good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It's like her appearance was like radically different, but like she looked good in both like before and after pictures. So it was kind of weird, you know.
I heard she got less roles after the surgery because like she looked more distinct than before.
I mean, I don't know what she acted in besides that movie.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Well, she had one other movie before that with Patrick Swayze. Some weird thing. I don't remember.
Dirty Dancing or something?
No, before Dirty Dancing. Because she didn't want to act with him on Dirty Dancing.
Oh, is that
How
true?
much Dirty Dancing trivia do you guys want to know?
What do you got for us? How deep does your knowledge go?
So wait, she didn't like him? She was in the movie with him? She was like... Oh,
Right, she didn't want to do Dirty Dancing because she didn't like working with him before or something.
Oh.
Now I got a dirty dance with this dirty dog. That's a movie that I should know it because our sister like watched it a million times, but I think I just always like ignored it whenever she watched it. So I have no idea what happens in that movie.
Well, it's I saw like a short documentary thing about it. I think on Netflix, but they were talking about how they'd written the script. The lady had written the script, and like it'd gone through like everybody, and nobody would pick it up. And finally, this piece of shit company were trying to pick something out of the pile, and like out of all these rejected manuscripts, they picked out like the one gem, and they made it, and it was like a huge hit, and they made a shitload of money. And then like they spent all the rest of that money like trying to go back to the shit pile and pull scripts out, and they just made a huge bunch of piles of shit and lost everything.
I know there was this company like in the 80s, I believe it was called Canon Films, and like they were famous for producing just like really shitty movies like that He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, that movie. And like they had their names attached to some other like real classic stinkers too. Like that was their thing. They just made real big piles of shit.
Them and Orion. I remember they used to make shitty movies too in the 80s.
They made a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were all bad.
I remember seeing the Orion logo a lot back in the day, but yeah, I don't know if...
I thought every movie in the 80s was bad. It was just so cocaine fueled.
I know a lot of people are like really nostalgic for 80s movies, and like there's a few of them I like, sure, but like I'm kind of with you. Like I think a lot of them were shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your classics like Back to the Future and Indiana Jones movies. But like by and large, I think there is a lot of like overrated and just like plain not good movies in the 80s.
Yeah. You were alive in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably watched everything.
Well, thanks to our great censorship debate in the beginning, we are over an hour. I don't know if you got another short story that you find really entertaining you want to go out on, or...
I don't know if it's super entertaining, but you guys know that the governor of Texas was threatening to send illegal immigrants to Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that, but okay, I can believe it.
Apparently, he started making good on it, and it's like it's only people that like agree to do it or whatever. But yeah, busting them up and ship them to D.C. And the press secretary said it was nice of Texas to send them. I was like, well, you got to spin it somehow. But yeah, there's a solution to your problems. Just ship them to D.C.
They're like, the landscaping at the White House has never been better and cheaper.
None of them can afford to live anywhere in Washington, D.C., but
that's true.
they'll go straight to the streets.
Mm.
But they're like, well, it's better than Texas.
Yeah, I guess like you get that much distance and then you can like go somewhere from there.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we got a head start from
We're
the border at least.
safely inside the country now.
That's kind of like the old Mason Dixon or something. It's like we made it out of Texas.
All right, well, should we wrap this bad boy up?
Yep.
Well, everybody who watched and listened, we do thank you very much. Please spread the good word to your friends and family. Tell them to check us out. If you will, please give us a subscribe on both the YouTube channel and your podcast service of choice. Leave us positive reviews, if you will, thumbs up. Give us comments. I don't even care if they're shitty comments. Just tell us what you think. And why not badger us on social media, specifically Twitter? Guys, where can people find you on the Twitter?
I am at a name for this too, and that's number 2.
At unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.